Hi everyone. Hi. Thank you for joining. Wow, 102. That's amazing. Thank you everyone for joining. This is amazing. Hi everyone. Uh my name is Brian. Brian Bright. I am a YES alumnus from 2011-2012. I was hosted in Sheboygan, Michigan. And I am going live today on the YES program account in honor of the 30th anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Today, I'm going to interview Stella, and we'll be talking about disability rights, inclusivity, and advocating for people with disabilities in your communities. If you have any questions throughout this interview, please feel free to send them in the comments, and I will read them to Stella. 2020 marks 30 years since the Americans with Disabilities Act was signed into law on July 26, 1990. This landmark legislation prohibits discrimination based on disability and increases the opportunities and access for persons with disabilities. The law was written and passed to ensure that persons with disabilities have the same rights as other Americans. I am now going to invite Stella to join the interview, and if you give me a second, I will. Stella will join in a moment. We are just waiting on Stella, and we will begin this interview. Hi, Stella.
Hi, Brian. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Introduce yourself so everyone knows who you are.
Well, okay. My name is Stella Tiyoy. I am a YES Alumni, 2012-2013, and I was hosted in North Carolina. It's great to be here. It's great to be part of the ADA 30th celebration, and I'm excited.
Thanks, Stella. I'm also very excited to see you and to have this conversation with you today on our IG Live. So without further ado, I'll just go ahead and ask questions. And remember, everyone who's watching, you can ask your questions in the comment box, and I'll read them out to Stella. So Stella, what does the Americans with Disabilities Act mean to you?
Well, it basically means a fair world that does not discriminate anyone based on disability in all sectors of our lives, be it employment, state and government positions, and even education. Well, it also means freedom to me because I believe it basically fights for the rights of persons with disability, and that means a person with disability can live independently without necessarily, depending on someone else to help. And that means creating accessible environments, be it physical or be it accessing information. So in a nutshell, it means a free life for a person with disability.
Great. Now, as someone who's from outside the United States, what are some of the positive aspects of the ADA that you can highlight for us?
First is, of course, public accommodation. That is what I actually realized and, experienced while in the US, in my exchange program. There was pretty much accessible transport. I remember the school bus that used to pick me from home to school and back was pretty much accessible, so I could get in and out of it without really stressing myself out. I also remember my school was also accessible. There were ramps pretty much everywhere. There were elevators, and the public libraries. I remember I used to go, borrow books and also read. So they are quite accessible. So were the stores. I could comfortably, go with my host parents shopping, and my host mom was actually also in a wheelchair. So it was pretty nice, and that's what stood out, to me. State and local government. I was there in 2013. and that's when the 2013 elections were taking place. So I had a privilege of actually taking my parents to vote. And one thing I realized is that the devices that were being used were actually at the level where a person in a wheelchair could easily reach, and perform the activity and vote comfortably. When it comes to telecommunications, the ADA has actually made sure that people with disabilities are accommodated and that people have equal access to technology just like anybody else. And during the voting, actually, there was information in Braille, so persons who were, visually impaired could also take part in voting quite comfortably. Persons who had hearing impairments also, there was audio for them. So it was pretty much inclusive and which is really good. The ADA also covers employment, which basically prohibits discrimination against employees and applicants with disabilities in all aspects, be it payment, promotion, or firing in that case. So as long as you are qualified and you're a person with disability, then the ADA is there to actually protect you, which I believe is really good because it meets the SDG number 1, which is basically poverty. Because if you're employed, that means you can sustain yourself in your day-to-day activities, and also the SDG number 8, which is basically decent work and economic growth. So yeah.
That's amazing. And before we can go any further, I've seen a question as someone asking where we're from. I'm from Kenya, and Stella is also from.
Yeah, so am I from Kenya? We were
Yeah. Yeah, we're all from Kenya. Yeah, really nice to see everyone watching. I see Indonesia, Pakistan, Malaysia, Thailand. Thank you so much for joining. So, Stella, I know you've already mentioned just a bit about your experience in school, but I'd also like to hear more about your, personal experience as, a person living with disability in the US. How was that like for you?
Well, I'd say it was an eye-opener for me, and I actually thank the YES program for that great opportunity, a lifetime, opportunity. It was an eye-opener for me to actually accepting myself as a person with disability and interacting with, both disabled and non-disabled. I'm pretty sure you've come across, other persons living with disabilities, but sometimes it can be pretty hard to actually interact with other people who are non-disabled. So I believe the experience itself was, a great eye-opener to me, and just, experiencing things beyond, what I had, I was used to, right? It also made me outspoken, I believe. I learned to communicate well, to speak out to what I believe in. And as I said, my host mother was also physically challenged. So through both of them, I got to learn my rights as a person with disability, and they actually encouraged me to always fight for them and stand up to my rights. And I remember they actually wanted me to be a human rights lawyer, which I believe I might do sometime. So yeah, so it was a really, really great experience for me, because it's just like opened the world to me, to realizing more.
I'm glad. I'm glad, and I'm also happy to hear you, talk about it making you want to be a human rights lawyer. I think it's something that you should totally do. There aren't enough human rights lawyers out there. There's still a lot of injustice to be fought. Anyway, so since you're returning back to Kenya after your exchange year, how have you been advocating for rights and for the rights of persons with disabilities?
Okay. Well, when I came back to Kenya, having been in States for a whole year and actually realizing life was, simple, because, pretty much, well, of course there are gaps, but like 90% of the places are pretty much accessible. That means I can do whatever I want to. You can basically meet your dream because the world is accessible for you. So coming back to Kenya, I realized, well, so many places are not accessible. Schools, in that matter, are not accessible. And, I believe, the world can be a better place if we, with knowledge, and that means, going to school and all that. But again, if these schools are not accessible, then it's a big hindrance to us. So with that, I decided to come up with a campaign dubbed Accessible Kenya Campaign. So it's basically a campaign that emphasizes and educates on the importance of making our environment accessible for persons with physical disabilities. So we've been doing that, and we've also been doing a lot of word of mouth kind of campaign, which has been workable and very critical, and which I see, bringing a change, be it in my immediate environment and through my friends also. So I'm also a big part of, charity work, and through the charity, I've been able to educate my peers on disability and accessibility and how crucial it is. And I'm actually glad that some of my friends who are actually not disabled to actually realize the importance of accessibility. Yeah. I have also had a few TV airtime sessions due to this campaign, the Accessible Kenya campaign, and through the platforms, I've actually ensured that I talk about accessibility in whatever thing I do. Like it's become the chorus, accessibility and how important it is. Thank God, I'm also a part-time presenter in a local TV station. It's called Abled Differently. So the program basically highlights the struggles of persons with disabilities and all the struggles they face in their day-to-day activities. And because accessibility being one of them, I've always ensured that I kind of like emphasize on it because, I understand how important this aspect is. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's really amazing. And I think, just to echo what you've said and maybe, be a testament to the good work you've done. I should say I have actually learned a few, things about the do's and don'ts, when it comes to, handling and just being around people with disabilities from, the years I've known you, and you're doing a great job. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, I'm sure there are lots of YES alumni who would like to do projects advocating for people with disabilities in their communities, but they may not be sure, exactly where to start or what to do. What advice would you have for them?
Well, first is that please go for it and just understand that Ellis Rowe Alquart said, when we design for disability, we all benefit. So it's not like when you're advocating for the rights of persons with disabilities, you're just like favoring persons with disabilities only. It actually benefits all of us, You can imagine if ramps are put everywhere or elevators, then it will also suit the elderly, the pregnant women. And I remember my high school teacher used to say, disability is a club, you never see it coming. You may just like wake up today and you're probably confined in a wheelchair, right? So my advice is please go for it, speak with confidence, and do not be afraid to do it. Secondly is connect with people, and especially persons with disabilities, so that you can actually get the story right. There are so many cases right now, especially in the media, where the media actually covers stories of persons with disability. But it's not like they know them. It's just based on stereotyping or probably what they had, right? So most of the time, they'll find getting the stories at at an angle of pity or something and end up not actually addressing the issues as they are. So my advice is to actually connect with people, especially persons with disabilities, know what they're going through, know what kind of challenges they're going through, and yeah, go for it. Thirdly is read widely. You know, definitely you need to know about these rights that persons with disabilities are covered, and most of the time when you're actually trying to advocate for this right, someone might just come your way and say, you know what, no, I think you're doing this thing wrong. So you really need to read widely so that if anyone tries to challenge you, of course, you can stand confidently and actually quote where, you know, it's stated, be it in the Constitution or, you know, for example, EDA. So yeah, you really need to read widely. And lastly, for you to actually do a project that advocates for the rights of people with disabilities, please look for an all-inclusive activity. You know, try to always include persons with disabilities in whatever thing you do. And inclusion, you know, I mean access to information and the surrounding, you know, the surrounding environment should be accessible for them. That means they can move comfortably. They can actually feel that they are part of this project.
Yeah. Yeah, I really love the quote you've quoted. When you design for disability, you design for everyone.
Yeah,
That's a really powerful one. Yeah,
it
I
is.
really love it. Yeah, and
Yeah.
well, you've just talked about you know, when you're, you know, creating, you know, inclusive, you know, projects that, you know, not necessarily for disability, and I want to talk a little bit about that. So what's, you know, advice that you have for, you know, someone who wants to create a project, not necessarily not to benefit the, you know, people with disabilities, but, you know, this project that you want them to make sure it's, you know, inclusive and, you know, it ensures that there's equal access for everyone. How would you, you know, advise such people?
Well, again, I'll just reiterate. Please make sure that the environment that you are performing this project are actually accommodating. Make sure that the washrooms, you know, can be easily accessed by persons with disabilities. The meeting rooms are spacious enough. The doors, you know, you don't want to actually start a project in a place where a person with disability will show up, but again, you start, you know, probably start carrying them in and out of the room. You know, it's actually invading someone's personal space, and I think that's something people should actually know. So just make sure that the environment is accommodating, they are comfortable, right? There should also be sign language interpreters so that you make sure, just to make sure that your information, everyone can actually understand what you're trying to say, and that you're not shutting the door for some people who, for example, have hearing impairments. So make sure that there are sign language interpreters for those who have hearing impairments. And finally, you know, just have good communication. Make sure that your end goal is well communicated and everyone understands what you want to achieve at the end of the day. Yeah.
Great. That's really great advice. And yeah, I'm sure a lot of alumni who are watching can benefit from that. So yeah, maybe just to bring it, you know, closer home to the YES Alumni network, please, you know, describe your alumni projects, you know, to us, the one on advocating for persons with disabilities.
Yeah. So Accessible Kenya campaign is, as I said, is a campaign that basically is to create awareness on an enabling environment for persons with physical disability, but mainly through education and social media advocacy. But again, we're not just limited to social media advocacy, because most of the time you will walk, you'll probably be in town and, you know, you decide to walk into a bank, you know, to pay your school fees or just, you know, run whatever errand that you need to run. But again, you find that the building that you need to access is, you know, there are whole fleets of stairs. So that's where word of mouth kind of campaign comes in. You
Yeah.
basically say, you know what, I'm going to speak. I'll probably speak to the management and ask them to put up a ramp or something. So yes, that's Accessible Kenya campaign. It's basically the social media, education, and of course word of mouth. And because it's word of mouth, the good thing about it is that anybody can do it. For example, next time you're going to probably your school and you realize that there are no ramps, then of course you can just, you know, talk to the management and ask them if they can do that, because you never know when a person with disability will actually enroll or when they'll walk into that building. So the campaign started officially in January 2019, and we were just about to actually hold a walk, which I believe would have been really, really effective. Many people would have gotten to know more about the campaign, its importance and all that. But, well, coronavirus struck in, and so we had to like hold back the thought for a while until, you know, things get back to normal. So what I'd say about the campaign at this point is it has been effective so far as I know. This is because, well, I started my campaign right from where I school, that is my school. And at first, my school was not that accessible. And because of that, I decided to, you know, speak out. And right now, there are ramps in the hostels, which is really good. My class used to be actually upstairs. They had to accommodate and, you know, put me in another class that I could access easily. And also, there is a member of Accessible Kenya campaign we've been working closely with, and through actually talking about accessibility and championing for our rights, the school that he goes to has redesigned everything, you know. The ramps have been put pretty much everywhere. And, you know, he was sending me pictures and I was just like, wow, this is great. I wish everybody could do that. Yeah, which is great for the campaign.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing milestone. I mean, just knowing, you know, the context of, you know, us being here and, you know, it involving public institutions. I think that's, you know, amazing if, you know, you've already, you know, caused, you know, that much, you know, change. I think that's really amazing. So, you did mention, you're working with, you know, someone. Who is it that you're working with, you know, on your project?
Well, I'm working closely with an alumni. He's called John Latton. We're actually in the same lot, 2012, 2013. So we've been working closely, and he's also a person with disabilities. So it's been a great journey, and yeah, we're looking forward to more great outcomes.
That's amazing. You two do make a great team. So what challenges did you, or rather do you face while, you know, working on your projects?
One major challenge is, of course, as I said, it's a social media campaign. So that means you really need content, you need stories, you need testimonials from PWDs on, you know, what they've encountered, you know. So it's been really challenging to actually get people to come and tell their stories, because we are not from the same locality, and because it's persons with disabilities, then it means they have to travel from their homes to the place, you know, you are supposed to meet. And because there are challenges with transportation and all that, you know, it's become a challenge, because first it's public transport, you know, it's a hassle getting in and out of the vehicle. Sometimes it will cost twice the price. So that has been a big challenge in actually trying to get persons with disabilities to actually give their testimonial. Secondly, getting people with disability, like basically assembling, coming to one place and not wanting some kind of reimbursement, right? Because as I said, traveling is challenging, right? Public transportation, you might need to pay twice the fare. So
Right.
it's been challenging actually bringing them together and them not requiring some kind of reimbursement. So yeah, so that's a challenge, but we have tried as much as possible to navigate through it and find a solution.
Great. Yeah, I mean it's unfortunate that you do face some of these challenges, but then, looking at the end goal and the impact, I think it's rewarding, at the end of it all, right?
Yeah, it is rewarding to actually see that, just seeing that someone with disability is actually moving around comfortably. And well, that's what
Yeah.
we want, and we hope that it will be achieved. Yeah.
Great. So, looking at, the challenges and the successes, what would you say, why would you say it's important to work on projects that advocate for persons with disabilities?
Sorry?
Looking at the challenges and the successes, yeah, why would you say it's important to work on, these projects that, advocate for persons with disabilities?
Um, First, as I said, I'll just reiterate on the quote I said by Ellis Roy. When we design for disability, we all benefit. It's not a one thing. It's not a one-sided thing. It's not like if we design, it's only disabled persons will benefit. It's every one of us, right? So I think if we look at it on the bigger picture, then we'll all, just go into it and advocate for these rights open-mindedly, right? Secondly, that advocating for the rights of people with disabilities brings acceptance and inclusion, because this means persons with disabilities can take part in activities that non-disabled persons can, and that means they can be productive members of the society. So I think it's very, very important to actually we are trying to achieve the SDG goals, but we can only achieve them if all of us come on board, if all of us can actually work together. And this can only be possible if all of us can actually access the resources. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's very important. Yeah. So in the course of you working on your project, were there any surprising things that you found out?
Yes, a lot of them.
Oh, yeah?
But one major one is the fact that, well, people don't really get what accessibility means, right? We might just be assuming, talking about accessibility and the right, but like people don't really know what it is. Someone even told me sometime I was in the CBD and I was walking into a supermarket with her. And then while I'm inside, of course, using the ramp, is when she turns and says, "Oh, so a ramp is actually for wheelchair users." Like, she's always been wondering why a ramp is there. Probably she's been wondering, why are these people wasting time and resources to actually make a ramp when they can just make a staircase and, get done with it. So I think we assume a lot that people understand these things, but they don't. And I think that's the most surprising thing. So you'll even find someone asking you a very weird question, which you might think it's ignorant, but like they really don't know. So I think we shouldn't blame. So yeah, I think we should just, like, they ask you, you find it weird, but just please answer it in a nice way, because they might not really be knowing. Seriously, yeah.
Wow. I
Yeah.
I am also very surprised. But okay.
I know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess, not everyone knows, everything. And I mean, I think that's the beauty of the project and, educating people about this and, even the people who are on this, live video and just by word of mouth, like you said, can go tell other people and tell other people. And, eventually everyone will know what a ramp is. And, I think that will be a score on your side and on your project. Yeah. So,
Right.
yeah, you did mention that, some parts of your projects are, done on social media. And perhaps can you tell us, how you promote, you know, your content on social media? What kind of language do you use?
Yeah, one of the major ways I have been promoting it is by joining conversations. Uh,
Mhm.
are pretty much talking about this, almost the same things. Huh? This has provided an opportunity for me to actually talk about the project, and has helped, get the word out there. And so I've been able to join conversations in other organizations like the National Council for Persons with Disability, the Innovation to Inclusion. I mean, these organizations are actually there to champion for the rights of persons with disabilities. So that has been one way. Secondly, I have followed, key people with the same interest, which has, greatly helped in fostering the relationship and actually bringing these people on board and see how they can be part of the campaign as well.
Ah, that's nice. And I think perhaps it's only fair that you share your social media handle so that everyone that's watching can follow you and, be a part of the cause.
Yeah, yeah. So Twitter is Accessible Kenya Campaign. Instagram, Accessible Kenya Campaign. Facebook, Accessible Kenya Campaign, and YouTube as well. So yeah.
Great. Yeah. Yeah. In case you're not following Accessible Kenya, please, go ahead and do that. Like she said. So, yeah, I mean, this has been amazing, and I feel like I have, also, learned a little bit from this conversation. And I have one question from the comment box, and this is from Emma. And she says, tell us about the basketball team that you're on.
Oh, well, yes, I play wheelchair basketball for the national team. It's exciting. Um, it's been a great journey for me being in the team, um, and it has, served both as a platform to actually talk about the campaign and encouraging my peers and, my teammates to also champion for these rights, because we can also do this. I mean, it's indirectly. I talk to you about the campaign, you go talk to someone else, and that person, it goes on like that. So it's been a great journey for me. It has also helped me in, keeping fit and just staying healthy, because being with a disability does not mean that you do not engage in physical exercise and physical activity. So yeah, it's been a great journey for me being in the wheelchair basketball team. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really amazing. Yeah, actually, I'm glad Emma asked that because I'd forgotten about that and I'd wanted to mention it or to bring it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you have any parting shots, maybe, Stella?
Yes, I do. Just to say that if you really want to advocate for the rights of these persons with disabilities, please do not think twice about it. Go for it already. I personally believe that change comes when we all speak about it. You and I, and every one of us around. Uh, I cannot do it by myself. We can only do it together. So that means each one of us just speaks about it, and I believe at the end of the day um, we'll have a common ground. And I'd also want to finalize with a quote from Steve Wonder, and I'll quote it. He says, "I know that there'll be a continuation of making the world more accessible for people with disabilities." So basically, what I derive from this quote is he believed that there are people actually championing for persons with disabilities, and probably he was one of them. So he believes there'll always be people doing the same, and that's what I urge every one of us to continue talking about these things, because at the end of the day, it will all help us. It's not, again, a one-sided thing. So let us all be the ones to, champion for this right. Yeah.
That is really amazing, and I should also say I'm very inspired by by this, and of course to continue supporting your project here in Kenya, and also be part of future projects in Kenya involving persons with disabilities. I think that
Yeah.
is really inspiring, and I think everyone in this everyone watching us on this live video today has been inspired by your story and what you do. And of course we want to say thank you to the YES program for this opportunity, and of course congratulate the ADA for turning 30 this week. I think that's a huge milestone, and if everyone watching this from all the different countries can advocate for something similar in all our countries, then I think that will be a major step for, advocating for persons with disabilities all over the world. So I think that is really amazing. Thank you so much for joining us, Stella.
Thank you for having me, and happiest 30th anniversary to the ADA. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And thank you to everyone that is watching us today. I hope and really, really hope that everyone is staying safe and that we will make it to the other side of this pandemic, safe and alive. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye.